Medical malpractice, an extremely upsetting area of the law to talk about. Nobody wants or likes to sue their doctor. But if you were put in harm's way in a negligent manner that a reasonable doctor would not have done, you deserve to be compensated under the law. I'm going to get into that. Before I do that, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Follow along where I will make sure that your future injury case is protected. Getting into it. Medical malpractice is a very touchy subject. Ethen, I respect the hell out of doctors, what they do. They put people who are sick, who are hurt, back into their normal life, and I respect the hell out of them. If decisions are made because a doctor was tired, because a doctor made a mistake, the law protects people in exactly that situation and says you are entitled to compensation if you were hurt in a way that a reasonable doctor should not have done. Why does that protection exist? It exists for the betterment of the people. The people who go into that hospital have something called a standard of care. That means that doctors should be treating you with a certain level of a standard of care so that you get the best treatment possible, or at least good enough treatment that another doctor would not have treated you the way that that doctor did. This is an area of the law that people generally don't bring their issues for. It's because people feel like they are actually suing that specific doctor. While yes, the doctor themselves may have to take a deposition to explain what happened, they themselves do not pay the damages that occur after a lawsuit like this. That's why they have insurance. Typically, hospitals have basically an amount of insurance that would compensate you pretty much no matter how hurt you are. Death, losing a leg, a misdiagnosis of your cancer, your birth of your child getting really hurt because of something that was preventable. These are things that the law protects you against. And these can be some of the biggest lawsuits in the country. Medical malpractice cases can be. If you had a surgery and something was left inside you, you may have a case. If you walked in complaining of a headache and they should have found your cancer, you may have a case. If they misdiagnosed the kind of cancer you have and it turns out that if they found out about the kind of cancer you do have, your life would have been saved, you may have a case. If you walk into a hospital where you complain of the worst headache of your life and you have an aneurysm that would have been found if they did what's called a differential diagnosis on you, you may have a case. Basically, the goal of a doctor is to rule out the worst possible scenario. Typically, the differential diagnosis, which means this is the worst thing that could be going on with what you're describing, if that is something that they forget to check or that they don't check because maybe they were tired, maybe they're just human and they made a mistake. These things happen and the law protects you for that. Some states have something called a fee cap. Others do not. Pennsylvania, where I'm located, does not. That means that your case could only be worth a certain amount. Some states have that cap. Others do not. If you have that cap, sometimes law firms just can't afford to take your case because these are really expensive cases. The way to prove what's called causation, which means that issue or that mistake or that thing or omission that that doctor did or didn't do caused your issues, if you want to tie together that that thing caused your problems, you need another doctor to testify that says that doctor should or shouldn't have done what caused those issues. And to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, if they did or didn't do whatever they did, you wouldn't be where you're sitting today. You need a doctor to testify, which is probably the most expensive part of a medical malpractice case. So that's why law firms are very picky on these kinds of cases. But it doesn't mean that you should not get your situation reviewed. I'd be happy to help connect you with the right lawyer if you're going through something. But with medical malpractice, it's a very expensive, very selective kind of case. Typically 1 out of 100 is a true case, depending on the state. If you ever have questions, I'm happy to be there for you. Click below where my link to my website is. Tell me about your situation. I'm happy to hop on the phone with you to talk to you about it. Thank you.